This February marks the 60th anniversary of the sit-in movements in Greensboro, North Carolina. The museum will be honoring Dr. Linda B. Brown, a Bennett College graduate. Many people think the movement began on the first day of February of 1960, but Linda Brown wanted to tell the story of others who helped plan and execute this civil rights victory.
This is Bells of Liberty, which is the book that I wrote and published as I was retiring from the faculty at Bennett College. And I wanted to tell the story of the Bennett women who were so involved in the movement. And I wanted to tell that story because it had really not been told. And I thought, I'm the one who has to tell this story for a couple of reasons. One is I was there. Another was that because I was the president's niece, I knew a lot of the backstory. And the third thing is that I'm a writer. And I thought, all those three things are not going to come together in anybody else, you know. And if this story is going to be written and it's going to be written well, I'm it.
Linda Brown had a very different college experience than most first-year students. She stayed here with her aunt, Dr. Willoughby Player, who was the president of Bennett College during this time. One time in the middle of the night, there was a knock at the door. Linda Brown was at the top of the stairs when her aunt let in a campus security officer. Linda Brown learned a lot that night about the racial relations in Greensboro in 1958.
I heard the door, and I heard the night watchman talking to my aunt, and he said, "Dr. Player, are you all right? Somebody's burned a cross out here." And that was done in reference to one of the faculty members, Dr. Edward Edmonds, who had been trying to integrate the city swimming pool. I knew about racism, I knew about the struggle in the South because my mother was from Mississippi and my father was a civil rights worker, but to have it in the front yard was a little scary.
And right now we're here in front of the David Dallas Jones Student Union, right here on Bennett College campus. In the winter of 1959, Bennett students met here to plan for the sit-in movements. After the sit-in movements began in 1960, Linda Brown was hanging out right here in front of this building. A station wagon pulled up with a group of her friends, and they wanted her to join them downtown at the Woolworth lunch counter to sit in. She got in, and they headed that way.
There were several of us in the car, and I got in the car without really thinking about it very much, except that I knew it was something that I needed to do and should be doing. And that's when I said, maybe we should have a prayer before we go down there, because I knew that this was not a joke. That's when Gloria Brown said, "No, we don't need any more prayers. We need to go down there and do something," which I agreed with her, but I thought we needed some prayers also. Anyway, I sent my own prayer up silently, and we headed out to downtown.
Linda Brown was very scared the first day she sat in at the Woolworth lunch counter. When she observed a white waitress carrying knives, she knew she wasn't the only one.
I mean, there was nothing on this tray but knives. And she walked right by us, and she was as nervous as we were, I think. She was shaking like this, and I could see those knives rattling, which was not very, that was kind of scary also. She didn't look up, you know, she was like looking like that, trying to, I guess, keep her composure. But I remember that, I will never forget that, how scared she was and how scared we were. And we were supposed to be studying, so my book was open, but I wasn't reading anything.
By the spring of 1960, the movement had spread. Students started picketing in front of the Crest 5 and Dime store and many other area businesses. Linda Brown picketed alongside her friend Mary Ellen Bender. She was an exchange student and the first white graduate of Bennett College. Picketing was a very dangerous activity.
As a white girl, you know, she was like a target. And we were walking up and down in front of Crest, and these white guys in cars kind of were, I think they were circling, they were driving by to heckle us. And they said things like "nigger, go home" or "go back to Africa," and used profanity, and they were spitting and just very threatening. And that was actually more nerve-wracking than sitting over here at the counter. The only thing I was comforting, I knew there were some A&T men standing on each of the corners. And they were standing there to be trouble spotters. And they would have tried to help us if anything really bad had happened.
At the end of the book, Linda Brown interviews James McMillan, an art professor at Bennett College and activist during this time. And he says, there ought to be a woman on that statue at A&T.
The city did not desegregate until Johnson signed the Civil Rights Movement. And Greensboro was the last major city in North Carolina to desegregate, the last. There are so many people who here in Greensboro put their lives on the line and persevered through all those years. They need some credit. They need to be known.